Hi Mom, it's me and my grubby little hands here to greet you. How are you doing today? So today we're going to be doing an eyeshadow palette collection video. Couple of things before we get into it. I'm going to be showing you all of my palettes. Yes, this is a lot. Yes, it is over the top. Yes, I am a hoarder. No, I don't want to hear about it. So keep that to yourself. But I consider myself a collector. It's something that brings me joy, that I like to do, and I do use pretty much all of these. I just got rid of the ones that I don't use. I rotate through a different palette like almost every day, so this is really fun for me and I like to have them, and it's just something that I do for fun. If you want to see what kind of palettes I have, then keep on watching. All right, most of these are from affordable brands because I'm not that bougie. Okay, let's start with the ones that you can see in the frame. So number one is this kind of beat up looking palette full of some Ofra, a little bit of ColourPop, and I think mostly Coastal Scents shadows. I put together this palette, it looks pretty haphazard, but I didn't mean for it to be. I put together this palette to do other people's makeup when I was thinking about becoming an MUA, but that didn't really stick. It kind of got my anxiety up, if I'm being honest, doing other people's makeup, although I do still enjoy it on a lot of levels. I haven't really used this on myself. I haven't used it in a long time, but I do have it for that purpose. So this is palette number one. Okay, and I have these organized by brand. Also, my hands aren't the prettiest. I have teal hair and my hair dye stains underneath my fingers when I wash it, so that is why my fingers look blue. But I organized these by brand. So Morphe, this is the OG Jaclyn Hill palette. If you're a makeup person, you've definitely seen this, but it's mostly neutral with a few cool toned pops. I got this palette right around the time where it was really hyped, before Jaclyn Hill was as controversial as she is, but I don't use it very often because I'm not really much of a neutral girl anymore. When I first started, I used to wear neutrals pretty much exclusively, but now I'm into colorful makeup a lot more. But I still do use this when I feel like doing some neutral looks, and I keep it in rotation. It is a good palette, so that is my first Morphe palette. And my second and last Morphe palette is this one. I believe this is the 35M. It's got fingerprints and foundation all over it. A lot of these palettes are pretty beat up, which is how you know I use them. Yeah, this is the 35M Boss Mood palette. I got this on a sale when I worked at Ulta. Morphe isn't, I'm not like a Morphe junkie like some people are, but I will purchase occasionally, and this spoke to me. I really like these grungy greens. I like it paired with the purples and like the cranberry tones, so I do like this palette. I've gotten a lot of use out of the greens, specifically when I had green hair. I really enjoyed using this. So yeah, that's my second Morphe palette. Let's go for, you can see these little guys. I may or may not have a video coming with these. I haven't totally decided yet. These are two of the palettes from the Starlux Wet n Wild 2020 holiday collection. I've played with this just once in a video that I decided not to keep, so I may or may not refilm it. But these are actually pretty good, and I like the pressed glitters. Aren't the best pressed glitters I've ever used. They kind of have a hard time sticking. These shadows, these like mattes and satins are pretty good, and this one's a shimmer and it was actually really shiny and I liked it. So yeah, these are the only Wet n Wild shadows that I have. I don't have really any of their OG shadows, just these new ones. Just reaching over. Okay, I decluttered my other two Huda? I can never say that. Huda Beauty Obsessions palettes. I had the warm neutrals one and I had the colorful one. I gave the colorful one to the editor Kayla, the editor of these videos, and one to, I think, my friend Virginia. But I kept this one because I like it for traveling. Not that I'm really traveling right now, but I like it for taking with me because it's so small and you can get an everyday look or a really smoky look, and it's kind of versatile in that way. Like I said, I'm more into colors these days, but this is still a really good quality palette. These are really nice creamy shimmers, and this is the one I decided to keep because I liked it the best. Okay, now these RK by Kiss palettes. I have the Ruby and the Topaz Nudes palettes. I got these for like $2.99 on iKate House, and they're not the best palettes I've ever used, but they're really not bad. They have a decent amount of pigment. The shimmers are more subtle, but they are there, and for $2.99, I mean, if you're balling on a budget, these are pretty. And they have a couple other colors too. I think these are kind of supposed to be like the Huda ones, but they're not like exact dupes by any means, but these are really not bad palettes. I really like that shade right there. So yeah, for $2.99, worth it. I'm showing a lot of neutrals for someone who just said they're not really that into neutrals. Okay, my Profusion palettes. This one is really beat up because, like I said, when I had green hair, I was all about the green eyeshadow. I still love a green eye. And this is my Emeralds palette. It's featured a lot on my channel. It's so pretty. These shimmers are so good. These mattes are so good. It's so pigmented. It's so workable. And this is only $5. And it's got a great variety of greens in here. I love this like goldy pink radioactive. It's kind of like a duochrome. And this highlight shade here I really like. These are great. So I like that, and then I need to play with this one more, but it's just as good from what I can tell. This is the citrine one, very gold, very yellow. I really like this color story as well. I want to play with it more, but I've really liked it for what I've seen. So yes, those are my Profusion palettes. Like I said, I have a lot of affordable palettes, not a ton of expensive ones. Let's get into Tarte. Tarte isn't affordable, but they're not like super luxury either. Okay, this is the foil finger paints. Oh, hi. Hello. This is the foil finger paints palette. I do like the packaging. It's very pretty. I got this a few summers ago, and I'm not going to try and swatch very much, but I am going to swatch these because these are some of the most ridiculous metallics in my collection. They're so soft. They've kind of broken a little bit. Like this shade's kind of broken, but I mean, look at that. Can you believe? JVN. Yeah, they're so foiled, so full pigment. They're beautiful. I don't use them as often as I should, but I am obsessed with them. I've also hit pan on this glitter. This glitter has like a weird something or other that I probably should scrape out because this is a little bit old, but I refuse to part with it because it is so pretty. So there is that one. There's this Tarte palette. This is Rainforest of the Sea Volume 3 that I got in a BoxyCharm when I was still subscribed to BoxyCharm. This is a very basic palette, but I keep this because when I travel, again, I'm not traveling very much, but when I travel, I like to use this as a highlighter palette because aside from this one right here, and maybe this one, I can use all of these, well, and this one, but I can use these for as face highlights, and then if I want to use it on the eyes, this is a transition shade. I almost wish they had made this another shimmer because it would just make more sense as a full shimmer palette, but I can use this as face highlights and as eyeshadows, so I keep it. Okay, this I mentioned in my palette tag video as one of my everyday palettes. How many times can I say that I haven't been doing neutrals very much, but I still really enjoy this palette because it's not that neutral. It's just very warm. It's got some pops of red and orange and this yellow. I've used this yellow quite a bit, as you can see. The pan is rubbing off. These shimmers are really, they're kind of a flaky shimmer, but not really in a bad way. I don't know how to describe it. They're just a little bit textured, I guess, but they look good on the eyes. I really like this palette. I think the theme is cute. The pans are pretty shallow though, because it didn't take me long to hit pan on this one. But this is from Tarte Sugar Rush. It's like Tarte's sister brand, so. Okay, and this isn't a Tarte palette, so I'm including it with the Tarte stuff, but this is not Tarte shadows. This is a hodgepodge of like, I think some of these are Ofra shadows, some of these are Urban Decay. This is the remnants of my Naked 3. These are some NYX shadows. The Balm, I think that one's Urban Decay. I think these are all the Balm. These are a lot of like samples I got from like Ipsy, or this was from an advent calendar. I think I got some of these from my mother-in-law, and they're kind of glued in here. They're not really stuck in very well. I don't ever use this, but I like to keep the magnetic palette. I just need to figure out what to do with the shadows inside of it. I might just declutter them, and then if I get some more singles from a brand I'm interested in, just reuse this palette. I'm holding on to it for the time being. Let's move these closer. I'm just gonna move these closer to me on the tablet. Okay, so let's start with this mountain of ColourPop eyeshadows, shall we? Okay, so we've seen this in a video. This is the Mandalorian palette. We've seen my thoughts on this, but I just got this, so obviously I'm keeping it. It's a nice like mid-tone green palette. And then I'm gonna have a video with these as well, but I got their State of Play Pastel Vault for Black Friday, and I got it on a discount, so I got 6 palettes for like, I think it broke down to like $8 a palette. Their new Cloud Spun palette. I've only played with these like one shade in each for a palette bingo, but I already have an issue with this palette, which is that they look a little different on camera, but this shade, and this shade in person like kind of all look the same. So I really wish that wasn't the case, but I still find this very pretty, and I like the packaging. Then we got the Baby Got Peach palette, which I think I'll get a lot of use out of because I like how peach can kind of act as a neutral, but it's still like a color, so I like that. I really like this a lot more in person than I did online. A lot of people were hyped about this and I was like, yeah, it's okay. But then I saw it, I don't know what that is, a little shadow flake. Then I saw it in person and I was like, ooh, actually this is gorgeous. This shade Cloud, really pretty. The Going Coconuts, I had wanted this for a while. I also think this would be a great neutral travel palette just to take with you if you wanted some everyday looks. This is a really good, like a true neutral palette. So I'm excited about that. Meant to Be. I have a lot of greens, but I have a lot more like brighter and grungier greens, so it's nice to have these green tones. I think they're really pretty and really fresh. On Cloud Blue, this is another new one. Kind of the same thing. These two shades look very, very similar, but this is also very pretty and I do like it, and I need to get more into blue shadows, so this is a pretty one. I mean, how many times can I say pretty? These are from the tie-dye collection. I got all of them except for the kind of pinky one. I got 2 out of the 3. These color stories spoke to me. I really like this pastel, like blue, pinky, purple thing happening here. And then the Aura and Out. This is also a green palette, but it's like a pastel neon green palette. I love these 2 shades right here. Those really do it for me. Okay, and those are all of my 9-pan palettes, and then these are 16? Are these 16-pan palettes? The Sailor Moon palette, the Pretty Guardian. This is just a really pretty kind of bright pastel palette. I love this row of colors right here. Oh my god, I just ran my nail through it. I'm so sorry. What have I done? I've gotten some fun looks out of this. I used this in my makeup and mental health OCD video, so I have gotten some good use out of this and I really like it. And then my new baby, the At Forest Site Raw Beauty Kristi ColourPop collection. I love Kristi. I've said that a bunch on this channel, and I really like a jewel tone palette, so this is very pretty and the packaging is just amazing. So that is all of my ColourPop shadows. It's a lot, but ColourPop has so many eyeshadow palettes that I've like barely scratched the surface of what they have. I have videos on these as well, but these are some of my newest palettes. My Nomad Cartagena Magica, I don't know how to say it, I'm so sorry, palette, but this was, I should have a palette ranking up before this. This was the top of my palette ranking. Spoiler alert for my last 11 palettes. You can just see how those catch the light, those shimmers. It's so pretty. I love this color story. I'm really into this color story right now. Love that. And then the Tokyo Harajuku palette. This packaging is just insane. Insane. These are really pretty as well. These shimmers are just beautiful. This is a row of satins and this is a row of mattes. This is just a really beautiful palette. These are both great. I'm gonna play with these some more. These are my Focallure palettes. I bought these during lockdown. I got interested in some indie brands and I was looking for yellow and green pops, so I bought these ones. My opinions are that these mattes are really good and really vibrant, but these shimmers kind of suck. They get hard pan on them and they're sort of glittery and chunky and textured in a bad way. So I like the mattes a lot more than I like the shimmer. But I haven't had them that long and I'm not ready to part with them. I do like this shade Avocado. I do like this shade Cool Mint. Like, they're really nice mattes. Let me swatch a shimmer. This might be one of the better ones. See, it's kind of just, like, it's really shiny, but it's kind of just loose glitter particles. So those are my Focallure palettes. Let's do e.l.f. next. Okay, so I have 4 of these bite-sized palettes. I talk about my wish list video, how I really wanted the hot jalapeno, but this is the only one that I haven't opened yet. I haven't been in the mood for this kind of green eye in a little bit, so I'm waiting for that mood to strike me before I open this one. But I have used this berry one, this pumpkin one, and this blue one, and they are all really good. They are just as good as people say. My favorite one is this pumpkin one, this one right here. They do have some repeating shades for such small palettes, so that's kind of disappointing, but they are really good, and these would also be really good just to take with you somewhere. Throw them in your purse if you want to do a touch-up or something. These would be really good for that. I like these. And then this was my very first video, the e.l.f. XJ Kissa to the Rescue palette. I didn't love it so much. Like, there definitely is some problems with it, but I keep it because I personalized the cover with all my pets' names and my name. I don't know, it is just so pretty. I don't want to get rid of it yet. I used it the other day in a video that I did. I used some of these reds, which the reds aren't the bad shades. Some of the oranges are kind of bad. Some of these dark shades are kind of bad, and then these shimmers are not my favorite shimmers, but I'm not ready to part with it, okay? My hoarder spirit is not ready to part with it. That's what Mirror Haley is saying. Those are my e.l.f. palettes. We have 2 more brands before we get into just the random ones. Okay, so these are my BH palettes, and I am a huge fan of most of BH's shadows. This was maybe my first BH palette, the Weekend Festival. This was really big a few summers ago. I used to get a lot of use out of this. I don't get as much anymore because I do have more colorful palettes now, but at the time this was one of my only colorful palettes. But this is a good color story. It's a great quality. I really enjoy it. I've gotten a lot of use out of this. Yes, that is a favorite. I got this Galaxy Chic one from my mother-in-law. I haven't used this one too often yet, but it does have really pretty shimmers. I've used this purple more than anything else, so I want to get more use out of this. I want to get into the practice of pulling this out and using it like a pop of shimmer sort of palette, because there are no mattes in it, but I do keep it around for that reason. Okay, this is my Take Me Back to Brazil. This was my OG rainbow palette. Before I got any other rainbow palettes, so I really have gotten a lot of use out of this too for more fun looks. It's got really small pans. I don't like these 3 shades down here, but this is a good quality palette for the most part. Overall, it's really good, and I've gotten a lot of use out of her. This has also been featured in a couple of videos. You should know my thoughts about this if you watch my channel, but I really like this palette. Whoa. I really like this palette. These metallics are so pretty. These mattes are so good. I've got something in there. What is that? Is that foundation? No, it's just a little dent. But this is such a pretty palette, and I'm into it. And then the Sweet Shop Cotton Candy. I've talked about this in my ranking video too. This is good. It's not quite as good as the Blueberry Muffin, but it's still good, and I like the color story, so there's that. Those are my BH palettes. Okay, we got one more brand before we get into the randoms, and that is Juvia's Place. I don't have nearly as many Juvia's Place as some people. I have the Afrique by Juvia's. Their packaging is just beautiful as always. The shade I think has fallen out, so I'm not gonna tip it all the way out, but this is a nice like kind of primary, like some primary colors in this palette, a nice silver, a couple of browns. This is just really pretty, and this was my first romp into Juvia's Place palettes, and I fell in love with the formula. This is the Saharan, which is like a warm neutral palette with this pop of really bold orange. This is a good palette as well. I need to get a little bit more use out of these. I haven't used them in a while, but when I first got them, I used them a lot. And this is my newest Juvia's palette, the Wahala 2. This is also in several videos, so I have thoughts up about that. I want to get more use out of this one. There are definitely some dud shades in this palette. I think Juvia's could have done better on this one for their first big palette for sure, but it is a really pretty color story, and these shimmers are really nice. Like, you can tell that they're just beautiful, but some of the dark shades give me trouble, so that's how I feel about that. Let's drag this over here. Now for my assorted palettes that I only have one of. Okay, this is my only Jeffree Star palette. This is the Blue Blood. After the Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star series came out last year, I believe it was last year, I had a brief Jeffree Star phase where I was like, forgive him, he's fine, and then he completely blew all that up. So I bought a mystery box, and this came in it. I don't want to get rid of it just because I'm not supporting Jeffree anymore, because I already put my money into it. It's not something I want to use a lot on my channel, so I'm gonna have to get use out of it on my own time, but I haven't played with this as much as I should. That kind of seems to be a theme with some of these palettes. Oh my god, I am a hoarder. Like I said, I do use all of them, just some more than others. But yeah, this is my only Jeffree Star palette. And she bulky, girl. Not gonna spend too much time here, but this little NYX Sprinkletown glitter palette, I just thought I'd include this. It's from, I think they still have this maybe, but it was part of a holiday collection last year or the year before. Okay, my Makeup Geek shadows from the rebrand. I had shimmers, but the shimmers exploded when I went on an airplane, unfortunately. I'm just left with mattes. I want to repurchase those shimmers because I haven't used this very much without the shimmers. But these are good shadows. They're pretty expensive. I know that they used to be considered cheap when like MAC was the standard, but now with like ColourPop and BH and Makeup Revolution, they're kind of considered sort of expensive. So these aren't my favorite in my collections. In my collection. Oh, hi SpongeBob. I do have them, and I was curious about the formula, which is why I bought them. The Venus 3 palette. She's got a smudge. I got this on sale at 21 Days of Beauty when I worked at Ulta. These shimmers kind of suck. Let's do a swatch of this one. See that? It's just like loose loose glitter. I kind of use it as a topper shade. Like if I use a liquid shadow, I'll like kind of stick that on top as like some glitter. But the mattes are pretty good. And the main reason I keep this is because of the packaging and because I really like this shade. So that's the tea on that. That's my only Lime Crime palette. My little She Messy, she's got foundation on her, but this is my This is my Ace Beauté Grandiose palette. I got this also in BoxyCharm, and I really like this. This is my first and only Ace Beauté palette, but I really like the quality of this. This shade Jasmine is so pretty. I do have fun with this when I use it. I really like it, and so it stays around. I do want to try more from them eventually. Okay, this is my Dose of Colors Desi X Katy Friendcation palette. This had its day in the sun a couple years ago, or maybe last year. I don't know. Time is irrelevant. I get some use out of this every once in a while when I'm feeling like a certain type of neutral look. I like this olivey green. I've used that recently. I haven't really used these too much because sometimes I get intimidated by them. Even though I use a lot of color now, I just haven't used these too much. But I keep this around because it's a good palette and it's my only Dose of Colors palette. I waited for this for forever. This is the Beauty Bay Pastels palette. Before I got the Tokyo Harajuku one, I really wanted a pastel palette, and this looked so pretty and it had every color that I wanted. So I haven't used it much because I got it later in the year than I would like. This is more of kind of a spring palette if you follow seasons. I'm gonna get more use out of it probably in the spring, but it's really pretty and I really want their Book of Magic palette, but I just haven't sprung for it yet. Also from BoxyCharm, Alamar Cosmetics. These are so good. These metallics are good. These mattes are good. This is just so good all around. I love this formula. This is one of my favorite formulas in my collection. It's so good. It's just all around a quality palette. This was a gift from someone I used to work with because she didn't want it anymore. This is her Alyssa Edwards Anastasia palette, and this is my only Anastasia palette. I did have this Subculture, but I gifted that also to Kayla. I keep this because I like Alyssa. I do like drag and drag culture, and I've used this in a few videos, so I keep it just because I like having it around. It's a nice item. Okay, this is going to be in my TJ Maxx video that you'll probably see before this one. This is my Stila something palette. What's it called? Happy Hour. My Stila Happy Hour palette. And my thoughts on this are that the metallics are really good. The mattes are kind of weak, and the mattes are kind of lackluster, but these metallics are really good. I also need to get some more use out of this because I just got it. It's also going to be in my ranking video. And last but certainly not least, this beautiful palette, the Athena by Ditto Cosmetics. I want more Ditto Cosmetics palettes too. I love this color story. I love these greens and yellows and oranges, and I love the packaging. And this is a really solid palette as well. I do really like this. She's good. She's good. Okay, so this has been my palette collection video. I don't know if Kayla's gonna count how many palettes I showed, but I don't know what the number is, and I kind of don't want to know. But that is everything that I have in my collection right now. Yeah, I'm gonna make a little heart shape. If you like these kind of videos, please like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know if there's any other things you'd like to see in my collection. I can certainly try. But this has been fun, so I hope you like this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, Mom.